What's up, guys? Oh. Did you wash your hands? Make sure you wash your hands before doing this webinar with me. It's Magic Liwanag, and today we are going to edit Fujifilm JPEGs. Before I jump into the editing part, I just want to say, how are you guys? Kamusta? We've been quarantined for almost a week or more. I hope you guys are okay. I know it's been tough, everyone. We're all affected by this coronavirus. I hope and I pray that it will be over soon so we can go back to our normal life. Right now, Fujifilm and I partnered up, and we really wanted to do this webinar where I will be editing some of my photos which are in JPEG. I'll just share a few more tips or a few more tricks while I'm at it. I've been using a Fujifilm for almost 5 years, and at the start, I was actually shooting RAW. Eventually, as time went by, I managed to just shoot JPEGs. There has been a lot of debate of whether or not you shoot RAW or JPEG. For me, personally, I love shooting JPEG because number one, the file size is much smaller compared to a RAW. The information of a JPEG is not as complex or not as many as when you shoot in RAW, meaning if it's smaller, even though it's compressed, you wouldn't need a lot of storage, which makes it inexpensive. So mas mura siya kung naka-JPEG kayo. Of course, it's also faster to edit even if you're using your mobile phone or your laptop or your desktop. Mas mabilis yung pag-render ng image, which makes your workflow faster. For me, it works. It just really works. I was also compelled to pay more attention on the front end of a photo, which is my camera. If you read around the internet, you would find out that JPEG, Fujifilm JPEG, is actually still king when it comes to image quality. I've shot JPEGs in all my events, weddings, landscapes, food, portraits, concerts, especially concerts. It's also an addition that the Fujifilm simulations are just fantastic. Okay, all right, let's jump in. Let me just open up. Now, I do have a lot of selects. I know I'm supposed to edit like 5 or 10 photos. Let's just go through it. Just a quick tip, when you're using Lightroom, you might wanna check the build smart previews, because at least when you're importing, mag-render na siya. So there's a new catalog. Yeah, okay, so it's still building smart previews. So maybe kwentuhan muna tayo. So, like what I said, I've been shooting JPEGs for all my events, all my concerts, and I still think it's very subjective. Now, if you aren't comfortable shooting JPEGs, that's fine. I mean, that's all up to you. There's no hate. The reason why I shoot JPEGs, siguro, it's because I know also, like, I've adjusted my in-camera picture settings already. I lowered the highlights, I lowered the shadows, I know what white balance I should be using. You should always remember that your camera is just a tool. Whatever works for you, whatever you feel like doing, I suggest you do it. Okay, so smart previews are already built. Wow, so I have 324 photos. So I'm editing with the 15-inch MacBook Pro. I kinda like shooting underexposed kasi the highlights aren't blown up, or I'm sure that kaya ko siyang habulin with an exposure slider. I'm gonna go to develop here. I do have my user presets that I've been using. I've been using presets, you know, ito yung timpla ko. It doesn't mean ito rin dapat maging timpla mo, but when I'm editing my photos, these are my favorites. This is Lainey during Wonderlands 2017. As soon as I took it, I said, oy, ganda nito. You have the artist right dead center. First thing I do is I just go through my presets here and check which one is bagay. Having presets doesn't mean it would apply to each photo that you've taken. Sometimes depende yan kung ano yung trip mo talaga. So I check for the focus, if it's properly focused, because I can see overall okay naman yung exposure niya. Of course, when you apply a filter, it doesn't mean you don't think around with the settings na. Syempre mag-adjust ka pa rin ng onte. Now, I specifically like the colors here. You have the red, blues, and then you have that spotlight. I can adjust the exposure a little bit and push in a little bit more shadows. Bring down the too much. Bring down the highlights a bit. Push in some shadows. And minsan naglalagay rin akong clarity because this adds a little oomph sa photo. Saturation is okay. And then I also like cropping. For me, cropping is your best friend when it comes to editing, especially sa Lightroom. I'll just crop in a little bit here. Put him a little bit to the left here. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. I like it that you see this line here, kasi it adds depth. Let's check the before and after. Before and after. See, it adds that mood, adds, you know, some character in the photo. That's why I like that. Okay, when shooting concerts, I like it because there's a play of light. You don't know, you can't direct what light, you can't direct your subject, but you want to capture the essence of what's happening on stage. Yeah, this was shot with the X Pro 2, ISO 1000, 16 wide open 1.4. I really like red. See that? Oh my gosh, look at that. Sobrang solid. Even in black and white, that old school feel. With this image, I really like to push the contrast way to like 80, and the blacks to go down, because see that, I mean, look at that before and after. I know hindi na masyadong kita yung mukha ng artist, but I really love this. I love that there's a spotlight there, and then you see all the wirings here. And then you have foreground. Push up the clarity just a bit here. The sat, you can play around with it, you know, maybe at 30. Ito yung sakit minsan ng photographers, or sakit ko rin to. When I'm shooting, sometimes, diba, napapaganto tayo. Like, you go by your side. I don't know why, it's just a forced habit. That's one of the reasons why I had to turn on the electronic level. Para I know I'm always level. Back then, I just really didn't care. Yeah, so there you go. As you can see in this photo, feeling mo hindi mo na kayang lagyan ng details. These kinds of shots, I really like doing when it's, you know, it's smoky, tapos makita mo yung shadows dito. Pagka-click ko pa lang ng camera for this photo, I know kung paano ko na siya i-edit. See that? Oh my gosh. Honestly, I have so many photos na minsan I go back, tapos I re-edit them, and you know, it's always a surprise. For this photo, okay pa siya. It's very well balanced. This was shot underexposed, and I always shoot in burst kasi ito yung next image niya. Because I'm shooting JPEGs, parang you have a little leeway lang when you're going to edit it. So, pag mga ganitong images, I really like, oh, look at that. I'm gonna go for this one. Now you can see this preset has grain, so I put the grain down, or maybe just a little bit. Oh, look at that. Put up the contrast to like 55. Highlights, yeah, the highlights are sometimes sumasabog siyang ganyan, pero I really like to look for that balance na hindi masyadong patay yung highlights, because again, in cam, my picture settings, naka -2 na yung highlights ko. Maybe around 28, yeah, that's okay. Should I put more blacks? Yeah, no, I'll stick with the 20. You can go, you know, sometimes I push the saturation also, but for this one, yeah, 30 would do. I really like this. I love this image. Yeah, so this is the before and after. Not bad. You know, so nakamiss na mag-concerts eh. Kailan kaya magko-concert ulit? I mean, most of the concerts have been cancelled. Here, okay, another example na may smoke. First, the little cropping here, or just realigning the image, because again, minsan gumaganon ako eh. You can lessen the grain here. I don't know, sometimes mas okay yung grain. Meron din naman yung may grain effect din yung Fujifilm cameras, which is, I think, a big hit to some people. But for me, I'm okay with just putting it in post. Maybe we can put down the exposure just a bit, add more contrast here. Shadows okay. Highlights, not so much. I don't move the texture around, but I do move the clarity here. Maybe I can add a little bit more vignette. I add this kasi parang feeling ko nagkakaroon ng more focus into the subject. I don't know, or maybe I'm just old school. Whoa, yeah, classic. No, just kidding. There you go. So yeah, this is the before and the after. I mean, even the before photo, you would see even if you just add contrast to it, even walang filter, I think that's still okay. With my filters kasi, I did move around the hues, the sats, the HSLs. Even this one, I mean, this is just straight out of the camera JPEG, but look at that. You can see the detail. Even if I zoom in more, you can see the detail on it. Let's try to edit this. So medyo na-distract ako dito, but still I really like having that foreground when I'm shooting. Look at this. Oh my gosh, it's so moody, super moody. Put a little clarity here. There you go. You always want to move around. You want to tinker around with the settings, with your sliders here, because the end result will always depend on your taste. Let's probably do 2 or 3 more concert photos. Let's see here. Look at that. Insane. Shot this with an X-T2. Yeah, X-T2. An ISO 400, 35mm 1.4. I really put in the time to actually fix these filters so my workflow would be faster. This is so clean. Look at that. And more. This one right here is caused by laser, but that's for a different video. Sobrang hassle ng laser, guys. Twice na natamaan ng laser yung camera ko. I still want to get that mood here. You know how to set it on your camera, you know, properly expose it, you know, think around with the picture settings. It'll be easier for you to have that workflow. It'll be easier for you para mag-edit ng image. Most of my photos, medyo desat na siya. Contrast niya is a little bit minus. So medyo I tend to shoot flat. Medyo may pagka-raw siya kasi when you're shooting in RAW, mapapansin mo, the highlights are down, the shadows are down, the tones are down. Everything is just flat, which is perfect kasi most of the Fujifilm cameras nowadays have the Eterna film sim. But, you know, back when I was shooting the X-T2 or with the X-T2 and the X Pro 2, wala pa yung Eterna film sim. I always try to keep everything in a neutral color kasi that way it's easier to play around with the photo, lalo na if you're shooting in JPEG. I can do a little bit crop here, put them on the right side here, you know, rule of thirds, and probably bring down the grain just a bit. But yeah, simple, easy peasy. Maybe add a little bit more shadows here. So this is the before, this is the after. Yeah, looks okay. Just probably a couple more concert photos here. Who's this? I think this is unique. This is one of my favorites. This is Miguel. I shot this with the X-T3, ISO 1250, as you can see here, f1.4, 16mm. I mean, you still see the motion. Sometimes I like it na you freeze your subject, but at the same time, you don't want to completely take out that motion. For this photo, maybe I can throw in a black and white. Put up the shadows a bit. Yep, still see it there. Bring down the highlights. You see, dito sa left side, that's what the highlight does. A little bit more contrast, add a little more clarity. Yeah, looks great. Diba? Black and white or colored. Yeah, sometimes I tinker around with the tone curve then. I like the shadows. You can move it here. See the shadows? Yeah, you just find the perfect mix here. And voila! I think this is pretty cool. Okay, this one. Quick tip. May mga times na, you know, see that? It's just blown out. To sumakto talagang ilaw through my camera. That's why it emits like a glare here or a lens flare. I didn't fret. It was still in focus. Yun yung worry ko kasi when it's out of focus, hindi ko na siya type. Like this one. See, I do have filters, but again, times it won't work unless you adjust it yourself. First thing we should do is probably lessen the exposure a bit. Give it, whoa, too much. Highlights, maybe we can put it down a bit. The blacks, konti pa. Whoa, sorry. Probably the sat clarity. Yeah, let's play with a little bit of the tone here. Lights and darks. Shadows. Yeah, put it down. I rescued a JPEG. Right? I mean, there's a lot of difference straight out of the camera photos. Minsan talaga, you really need to learn how to post-process. You really need to edit. And you really need to know that you can save your photo. You can jump in probably to a landscape photo. Or maybe a portrait. Let's do portraits. Okay pa kayo? Enjoy ba? I hope you're learning something. Okay, shooting portraits. When I'm shooting portraits, I always look for the right light. You always have to look for the right light. Let's look for a nice... This was a previous shoot that I did. I was using the X-T3 35mm wide open at ISO 200. I mean, this is what I love about the Fujifilm. Look at that. Yung whites, yung pagrehistro ng puti. It's white. It's not washed out. I shoot underexposed para lang hindi lang sumabog yung highlights ko. Don't you get that feeling? Like, every time you go from one photo to the other, you get excited? Because I really get excited when I edit. Off the cam, it looks good. Let's do a little bit of cropping here. One of the reasons why I say cropping is your best friend. Because you can actually do an output like this, or you can actually do an output like that. But we're gonna go into the full width here. One of my filters here. I think I love the Pola here. Yeah. Let's use this. Again, I like to adjust the contrast. See the shadows here. Put down a little bit more of the highlights. And add a little bit of clarity. Yeah, before, after. Naglagay lang akong ng parang skin tone. Love that. This was in one of the parties that I shot. Lahat nakabihis, lahat. Everyone was dressed up. The whole venue was just dressed up. Each corner content ready, if I may say. Look at this. ISO 400, 35mm. Now, I would just throw in a filter in there. Oh yeah, the Pola Warm is okay. Now, again, if you already have a filter, you can just play around with it. Put up a little bit more contrast. Bring down the highlights. Ang galing, no? Like, even at JPEG, kaya niya mag-control ng highlights ng ganyan. Bring the blacks down. Add a little bit of clarity. Honestly, parang naglagay lang ako ng contrast. Sat, clarity. Kill the highlights. Put up the shadows. Didn't even move the exposure here. Diba? If you've seen my work, I've shot different kinds of events. I have different kinds of light, different kinds of people. Like for this one example, for Layla here. Flash was fired. ISO 223mm at f5. This is super nice to edit, especially if you have a really pretty subject. I'll just go with the Pola Warm. Yeah, you can bring down your highlights, put up some contrast, put up your shadows, exposure, put in the clarity. Look at that detail, look at that sharpness. This is shot in JPEG, as you can see here. Wag lang mag-overexposed or else good luck. That's simple, before and after. Right? One last portrait. We can do this. I already posted this on my Instagram. Off the bat, you know, this is straight out of the camera. Just adjust contrast, shadows, highlights. See, you can... The highlights talaga, yun yung nagbabalik ng detail for me. Some whites. Put down the blacks. Add a little clarity. You can pump up the saturation kung yan yung feel mo. Or, you know, desat kung yan yung feel mo. A little bit of... There you go. Before and after. Okay, moving forward. Yep, ginabi na ako. The last photo that I'm gonna edit, a landscape photo. Of course, when you travel, sayang naman if you don't get to, you know, use your photo, have them printed. This is a photo. This photo I took in Bali. You can see that the clouds here, medyo may onting overexposed, but that's still fine. Later, you can use the spot removal tool on Lightroom. You can clean that image up with the spot tool. Oh, tabingi ito. So just adjust that. There you go. Yeah, so it's clean. When editing with the JPEG, you can bring back the sky or some details of the skies with moving the highlights. I can probably use this one, so you have that bunch of blues in the sky or here. Maybe add a few shadows, make it brighter. Fix the contrast here. Yeah, so before and after. Of course, that depends. Some people may want to desat it or add some contrast. For me, I like it, you know, very colorful. Yung buhay na buhay sa mata pag nakita mo siya. This was shot with the GFX 50R in JPEG. Look at that detail. Medium format is insane. Punch in some shadows, some exposure, bring down the highlights a bit, contrast, probably make it a little warmer lang, and then some blacks, clarity, saturation, and before and after. See, this is what the shadows would do. Enhances the image. I can crop it in just a bit here, so I remove this part here. You can actually still zoom in like this, but I'd rather have that foreground there. Here you go, before and after. And finally, this beach in Tel Aviv. I shot this with my X100F. So as you can see, medyo na-on ko yung grain niya because I really like that classic film feel. Shot in classic chrome. First of all, I see that there's an area here. So we crop in. Check the horizon. If you want to make it more bright, just move the exposure, move the shadows, and then put up the blacks. I really like some mood or some old school feel. Add a little bit shadows here, put in some contrast, maybe lessen the saturation here. I like it. I haven't really gone through my travel photos. It's just for this assignment. Okay, this is another challenge. It's a little bit cloudy, and even if I put in a filter here, you can never get the clouds to appear, like the detail in the clouds. You can never get it back. But with the help of a little highlights, kaya pa yan. Kind of a bluish tone here. It's not too warm. Okay, I did the crop. Bring down the highlights. Add a little bit of the shadows here so you can get the lighting and the details in the trees back. You can also make it, okay, I know I did say I'm gonna make it bluish, but maybe add a little bit of temp. There you go. So before, flat, and after. I think that's it. I've been doing this the whole day, umabot na ng gabi. Just a few more reminders before I end this video. Number one, don't have that mentality. Gawin ko na lang sa post at edit ko na lang yan. In camera pa lang, you have that discipline to know if you're properly exposed, composition-wise. Like ako, diba sabi ko nga, lagi akong may sakit ako na tumatabingi yung photo ko. I try to adjust that beforehand because remember, you have to have a good input for a good output. Ang hirap yung palaging naghahabol tayo. Number two, cropping is your friend. I love cropping. Even if I'm shooting JPEGs, I shoot large. Sometimes you don't have enough range, and it's best if you have that option that you can crop in. Number three, don't worry about how you edit your photos. If it's nice for you, don't feel pressured that it wouldn't be nice for anyone else. You have to be confident with how you edit your photos. Know the basics, exposures, contrast. You can do it on your phone. All camera applications or all softwares have the basics. Exposure, saturation, contrast, highlights, shadows, everything, whatever app you're using, whatever software you're using, make the most out of it. Experiment with it, and you know, of course, have fun while you're editing your photos. Don't edit all your photos. Sakit ko yun. It has been my problem ever since. I tend to over-edit a lot of my photos, which ends up taking a lot of my time. Pick the ones that you like. Lastly, shooting in JPEG gave me that discipline to have my photos properly exposed with the proper white balance, because I know it's very limiting. You shouldn't be embarrassed if you're shooting JPEGs. The quality of JPEGs produced by a Fujifilm camera is just excellent. I only shoot RAW if I know they're gonna blow it up into a billboard or they're gonna have it in print. Everything nowadays is all on digital, so save some space, go shoot with JPEGs. Again, that's still up to you. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. This is Magic Liwanag. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, hit the comments section or message me directly at Magic Liwanag. Anywhere, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'll definitely give an answer kasi ang dami nating time eh. Thank you again, Fujifilm Philippines, for partnering up to do this. You know, this helps everyone take their mind off the current situation of the world today. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video. Peace.